Good morning, students. Today we are starting the new chapter number 13, that is sound. And today's topic is sound. Now question arises, what is sound and how sound produced, right? So we are starting it from the sound. Now see, there are so many musical instruments, right? Different musical instruments produce different sound. Here we have harmonium, tabla, guitar, drum. So these are the musical instruments which are oftenly we use in the musical programs, right? Now here you can observe that the tabla have a membrane, and this membrane have two parts, outer part and inner part. When we hit this membrane, we get the sound. In this instrument, guitar, when we plug the wires, these wires are stressed wire, so we also get the sound. Now observe this hole, right? In drum, there are two membranes, in left hand side and right hand side, in front and back, right? Similarly, in these two instruments, there is a stressed wire, and there is a container of air, right? In this flute, there is the air column inside the tube, and some holes are pointed here. When we play these instruments, we get the sound, right? Now, why we are getting this sound, we will discuss in this slide. Sound plays an important part in our daily life. You can observe that we always or oftenly use the sound, right? It helps us to communicate with each other. Whenever we are communicating to each other, we use sound. For example, we are talking to each other, and we are giving the information or collecting the information, so we are using sound. We hear wide variety of sound in our surrounding. यहाँ पे चिड़िया भी बोलती है, हॉर्न की आवाज भी आती है, लोगों की आवाज भी आती है, वाटर जब मूव करता है उसकी आवाज भी आती है. So we are hearing the wide variety of sound in our surrounding. Sound is produced by the vibrating body. Whenever a body is vibrating, it produces sound. Vibrations is due to and fro and back and forth motion of the body. Whenever a body moving to and fro, this motion is called to and fro. When an object moves about its mean position, that is called to and fro. ये फिर back and forth. This motion is called back and forth, right? Now these are the example. If we strike the school bell, it vibrates and produces sound. Now observe this bell. There is a hammer. When hammer touches this bell, it produces the sound. It means it is vibrating. If it is vibrating, it produces the sound. Similarly, if we plug the stressed rubber band, it vibrates and produces sound. Now here is a rubber band. We are stretching with it with our left and right hand. When we plug this rubber band, we get also the sound, since it is vibrating. In case of drum, when we hit this stressed member, it also vibrates and produce the sound, right? Now see this instrument. This is bugle. When we blow bugle, we are blowing the air from this side, the air column vibrates and produce sound. The air column inside this bugle vibrates when we blow the air and it produces the sound. Right? Now, there are few musical instruments, and in front of it there are the vibrating parts, right? Like veena. In veena there is a stressed string. When we plug this stressed string, we get the vibrating sound. Now see this instrument, there is a stressed wire. When we plug this wire, we get the sound. So which is the vibrating part? Stressed string, right? Next case, sitar. In sitar there is also stressed string, right? In violin there is also stressed string. In case of tabla, you can see tabla, there is a stressed membrane. When we hit this membrane, we get the sound. In the mridangam, there is also a stressed membrane. In drum, there is also a stressed membrane. When we hit this stressed membrane, we get the sound. In morning assembly, you can see there are few drums, congo, and when we hit it, we get the sound. Senai. In senai, there is a air column inside the senai. When we blow the air get vibrates and produce the sound. In flute, inside the tube of flute, there is a air column. When we blow the air, we get the sound. In the mouth organ, there is also air column. And when we blow the air, we get the sound. Now, you can see in this slide, this is veena, a stressed string is there. When we plug this stressed air, we get sound. In tabla, there is a stressed membrane. When we hit this membrane, we get the sound. Actually, air inside this tabla get vibrates and produce the sound. In senai, there is a air column. There is nothing but air inside this tube. When we blow air from this side, the air get vibrates and produce the sound. In case of this veena, this mridangam, we also get sound. This is the drum. Inside the drum there is also air. When we hit the membrane of the drum, air get vibrates, right? Here is a flute. Inside this tube also air. When we blow the air column vibrates and produce the sound, right? Now this is the instrument which is youth always used to this sort of musical instrument, that is called mouth organ. Now there are so many openings, right? When we blow the air inside it, we get sound. Since the air column also get vibrates, right? Now there are some other musical instruments. Some musical instruments produce sound when they beaten or strike. When we hit, beaten or struck, these instruments we get sound. Bell. See, in bell there is a hammer, heavy hammer. When it hits the wall of the bell, we get sound. Since the body is vibrating or the bell is vibrating, so it produces the sound, right? Ghatam. Ghatam, this घड़ा होता ना पानी का कंटेनर, मिट्टी वाला, है ना? तो when we hit this or struck this side of the ghatam, we get the sound. Actually, inside this ghatam, there is a air column. When we hit it, the air inside this also get vibrates and produce the sound. then manjeera. Manjeera have two units, है ना, 1 and 2. When we hit it to each other, we get the sound. Since these bodies, both the bodies will vibrate and produce the sound. Now last in this slide, that is Jal Tarang. There are so many bowls. The water are filled in these bowls with different levels. इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा पानी होगा, इसमें कम होगा, इसमें और कम होगा. So the water level is decreasing in decreasing order. When we hit these bowls, it produces the sound. Actually there is a level difference of air. इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा air है, इसमें कम है, इसमें और कम है, और इसमें सबसे कम. Air column. When we hit these balls, due to the air column difference, there is a sound, and और वो sound हमें सुनाई देती है म्यूजिक की. ठीक है. तो this is all about of today's lecture. Thank you very much.